What is going on, guys? It's Kyle coming back at you with another video. So today I actually wanted to discuss a topic that only recently came up just because I crossed this milestone, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it and kind of break down where my money is located, what I have it invested in, and essentially how I got to this point. So I am 23 years old, but I've been able to accumulate $106,000 in terms of my net worth. That's actually where it's sitting at right now. Maybe not after all the crazy stuff that's happening with the crypto market and the markets just being down in general, but generally speaking, I'm over that 100K mark at this point, and I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about where that money's located, and yeah, like essentially the way I got there. Being 23 years old, I feel like it's a pretty big milestone. I'm not doing anything crazy where like I have all this money from my parents, or I don't have some crazy tech job where I'm getting paid 300K a year or anything like that. You know, I've got just a pretty standard job that I work during the day, and I'm just able to invest and save my money in a pretty smart way, just a systematic way that works for me. And it's allowed me to save about $100,000 up to this point in my life. So without further ado, I'll kind of get into that right now. Just a little bit of a background. I graduated from school in 2020. So I did go to college. I had a little bit of student debt that has since been paid off, but I did go to college. I have a business degree. When I graduated from college, my first job I was making about 80 grand a year. I moved up in that company a little bit to be making about 90 to 95,000-ish by the time I left, just under 2 years in. And then I have since moved over to Amazon as an area manager, where I'm making about 80 grand a year, but I was given signing bonuses and everything like that. So if you factor all of that stuff in and kind of the benefits there, it's about 100 grand a year at the end of the day. So that's kind of my income level right now. It is a pretty high income to be coming out of school with. So I will say that your average job out of school, if you're like a business degree, might be closer to like 50, 60, maybe 70 grand. So I will say yes, like my income is a little bit higher, I think, than average, but still it shouldn't hinder anybody from being able to achieve this type of milestone early on in their career or late on in their career. If they it doesn't matter what age you are, this can be achieved if you just follow the system and you just give it time. So I'm going to break down everything that I have right now. Essentially, I've got my little Excel sheet laid out in front of me right here. So I'm going to be able to just run through the list and tell you guys where essentially my money is, why I have it there, and if plans are changing essentially with where I want to keep it. So to keep things simple, we'll start off with just the bank accounts. This is essentially money that I have liquid, sitting around waiting in case there's like a good opportunity or in case there's an emergency, anything like that. So in my savings account, this is money that I really just don't touch, and I just let it do its thing, and it's just kind of there in case of an emergency. I only have about $5,000 in my savings account right now. I literally have it right now. I think it's just at $5,001 because of a little bit of interest that I accrued from like last month. So I don't keep a lot of money in my savings account just because with interest rates being so low, that money is not doing anything for me. If anything, it's just losing value because of inflation, especially right now with everything going on in terms of inflation. That money is literally just losing value. So that's why I don't keep a lot in there. I'd rather put it somewhere else where it's actually going to be going to work. And so that's why I only have 5 grand there. Moving into my checking account, this is essentially money comes in, money goes out. Money's always moving around in my checking account right now. And at this point in time, it's funny that I just said I don't keep really any money in my savings account because it does nothing. I do have about $15,500 in there. The reason I actually have so much in there is because there are some things I'm trying to work out, some potential investment opportunities where I might need that money a little bit quicker. So that's the reason I have that much in there right now. Normally, my checking account sits anywhere from like $2,000 to $3,000. You know, the money comes in from my paycheck, goes out for the expenses. Everything else is like sent to different places, investment accounts. I might throw a little bit into the savings account. car payment, whatever it is. And then whatever I have left in the checking account, that's essentially the money that I'm like, okay, I can spend this throughout the month. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need this money. And it's essentially just what I use to live my life and enjoy. Now we are going to get into essentially my investment accounts. The next 4 accounts that I mention are all invested into the stock market or cryptocurrency, essentially. So to start off, we have my Roth IRA. I set up the Roth IRA when I was about 19. So when I set up the Roth IRA, I wasn't really investing a lot into it. I think when I set it up, it was like $100 or $200 a month. But I was able to start investing the full maximum contribution. I actually made a video on the Roth IRA not too long ago. So if you don't know, the maximum that you can invest in the Roth IRA is $6,000 a year. So I started investing just $500 a month into the Roth IRA so I can hit that $6,000. So if you just, looked at it like that, I've had roughly 3-ish years to kind of invest that full $6,000. 18 grand plus market returns. The market did really well last year, so I was able to make good money there. So right now, my Roth IRA is sitting at about $25,500. Again, like I said, might be a little bit lower with the market and everything that's been going on right now, but just about 25 grand in the Roth IRA account. Going into my next retirement account, it's going to be my 401k. So I've always had a 401k set up with any employer that I've been with. That's really only 2 companies, but it's still something. Every employer I've been with has offered a 401k program. So I've, done my best to try to contribute a good amount to that. But at the same time, I haven't had the 401k account nearly as long as I've had the Roth. So that account is definitely a bit lower. So I've got about 14 grand in my 401k at this point. Eventually, I do plan on increasing that contributions because once you get to a certain income threshold, you're not able to contribute to the Roth anymore. So once that happens, I'm hoping that I can just really transition fully over to the 401k, and a lot more of my focus is going to be going into that pre-tax money and that pre-tax account. So 401k, 14 grand right now. Then I have just a general brokerage account. This is the account where I just kind of pick and choose stocks. I'm not going to say this is like my mess around, have fun account, because I don't look at investing in stocks as like messing around and having fun. I enjoy like investing in companies I like, because my Roth is in index funds and the 401k is essentially in like a target retirement account, specified towards a certain type of stock. But in this brokerage account, I get to choose the stocks that I'm investing in. So I have a little bit more fun, I guess, if you could call it that, getting to research and pick stocks individually that I believe in for the long term. But I'm not going to say I'm like just messing around and throwing around this money or anything like that. So in my brokerage account, I just have $17,500 in there. I do plan on kind of dialing that back a little bit, putting a little bit more towards the 401k. I feel like my distribution there might be a little bit off balance, but really the brokerage account, I set it up because I had excess money from my paychecks that I wasn't really using and I didn't really know what to do with, so I figured I would start investing in stocks. So that's why I have that set up. So 17.5 grand in the brokerage account. And then last thing that's kind of invested in the markets, but in its own type of market, is cryptocurrency. So I do have a Robinhood account where I'm invested just 100% into Ethereum. And obviously everything that's been going on with cryptocurrency right now, my account is definitely down a good amount. So I'm down about 5 grand right now. So I did have about 9 grand in there before. And that's when things were kind of on the downward trend. When I had bought into Ethereum, I had about 11 grand-ish in my Robinhood account. Then I went to 9, now it's about 7. So, I'm down about 4 or 5 grand-ish. It might even be lower at this point in time. So I do have the Robinhood account. That's also money that was just excess, and I thought cryptocurrency would be kind of a good long-term play. I don't plan on pulling any of my money out of crypto or Ethereum anytime soon. This is something I see 5 years, 10 years down the road, looking back at the account. I literally just the other day deleted Robinhood off of my phone because I was so I loved looking at it, and it got to a point where I needed to stop. So I removed it from my phone. I don't look at any of that stuff anymore on like the day to day, but I'll open up my laptop every once in a while, check where the market's at, see where my money's at, and then I'll just close it, and that's going to be that. So I really don't recommend putting a crazy amount of your money into crypto or any sort of, volatile asset like that unless you're comfortable with the potential to lose it all. So I don't plan on really putting much more into this account right now because I don't really feel comfortable putting more than 10% of my net worth into an asset class that over the last few years, has performed pretty well, but you just don't know because it's not proven. So about 9-ish grand in the crypto Robinhood account. Lastly, this is a little bit of an unconventional asset class, I guess is what I'll call it. So I do have money invested into sneakers, actually, about 5 grand-ish worth of sneakers that I have stored, and I don't plan on really selling them anytime soon. These are pairs of sneakers that in the long term have a track record of going up in price, a lot of Jordans, even a couple of like pairs of Yeezys and everything like that. So based on like the money I've spent on them, worth around 4,500 to 5 grand. Current market prices on them, that portfolio of sneakers might be worth anywhere from like 6 to 7 grand. So I don't plan on selling them anytime soon, and I expect prices of these shoes to go up over time as well. And then you get into my last one, which is going to be my vehicles. Well, I don't look at vehicles as a investable asset where you can expect to make money off them unless you're investing in, classic Japanese cars or Italian cars or, you can get into those classics and you are going to see prices go up over time if you know kind of what you're looking at and where the markets are going. So by no means is this an investment, and I feel like my dollar amount that I have invested or put into my vehicles is not something that is going to be growing over time. But I do have 2 cars. One of them is paid for, one of them is not. I have a 2005 Subaru WRX STI, and I have a 2015 BMW 228. And so the STI is paid off. It was a flood car, so that knocks some value off of it. But I have the car valued at around 9 to 10 grand, and then my BMW I do make payments on to kind of help boost my credit score. Just having another form of credit or another payment that I'm making is essentially going to help me with my credit and not just having credit cards. So the car is worth about 20 grand. I've got about 12-ish left on the payment. I just bought the car a couple of months ago, so I haven't really made many payments on it, but I did make a pretty hefty down payment. So I've got about 7 or 8 grand into it. So, values on the vehicle anywhere from like 15 to 18 grand if you just look at like what I've put in, what my equity is in them. So I expect the Subaru might be worth a little bit more as time goes on, but the flood title makes it a little bit tougher. And then the BMW, obviously being a newer BMW, that thing is not going to make me any money unless the markets continue to stay crazy and I sell it at a price similar to what I bought it for. You just never know what's going to happen, so that's where that's at. But yeah, if you tally up all of my assets, the total comes in at about 106,000 plus or minus a few thousand, depending on where the market's at, and where things are kind of changing day to day. So I told you guys kind of where my money is, the timeline as to when I sort of started most of these accounts. I didn't really start buying into or investing into brokerage accounts or anything like that until I was about 19 or 20. But really the key is to make sure that you just have a consistent plan and you're just investing consistently every single month. Because no matter what the market does, over time, you're gonna see returns, and you're gonna see about an 8% return in the stock market. Doesn't matter when you invest. You could be investing at the top of the market and then watch things just plummet the next day. But give it 10 years, give it 20 years, give it 30 years. You're gonna see your money grow, and it's gonna be a consistent and then exponential growth. So that's why I am so dialed in on just investing every single month, and I'm not going to stop. There's nothing that's telling me that this could be the end if the market decides to crash the next day. So that's what I do. I have a set amount every month that just leaves my account. I don't touch it. It's automatically done. I pay for my vehicles. I pay the payments on them. I invest a little bit into, different types of asset classes like sneakers or cryptocurrency, and that's all I'm doing. So you just let time be on your side. Just get into it as soon as possible. I don't care if you're 18. I don't care if you're 35. I don't care if you're 50. Just invest in, find a consistent amount that you feel comfortable with every month. Make sure that you're not spending your money on stupid, ridiculous shit that you don't need, and you're gonna be fine. So that's how I'm gonna end it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, any concerns, let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.